Now this is an essential mod. It's literally one of the easiest, cheapest mods you can do to your Harley, so let's get into it. So what's wrong with this picture? See if you can figure out, by looking at the way I'm riding this Heritage, see if you can figure out what's wrong and where there's going to be a problem in terms of safety. And I'll give you a clue, I'm not talking about anything on me, I'm talking about a feature of the motorcycle. Now I've done this to the last 6 Harleys that I've owned, and I'm about to do it to this one. It's essential for both safety and comfort, and I can't do without it. And it's really cheap because you don't need to take your bike to a dealer. Anyone can do it at home. Now before I show you what I'm doing, let's have a very fast discussion about the brakes on your motorcycle. Now we probably already know this, most of your braking power comes from the front brake. That's where you can wipe off speed fast. But the rear brake, a lot of people don't use it. I think it's essential, and we're going to focus on the rear brake today. So when you're slowing your bike down, weight's transferred to the front of the bike. You can easily see this by looking at your suspension. It dips at the front.
To be honest, I don't think about you. To be honest, I got better things to do.
Now that gives you extra downward force on your front tyre and therefore better grip and of course better braking. So that means there's less weight on the back of the motorcycle, so potentially you could skid a lot easier if you hit the back brake too hard. And a fun way to illustrate this is have a look at a motorcycle Grand Prix racer. They dive into a corner, they hit that front brake really hard, and you can often see the rear wheel leaving the ground. So it's a great exaggeration of the concept, less weight on the back wheel. And you can see here with the tyre off the ground, the front brake has to be doing all the work and the rear brake's pretty much useless in this type of situation. But of course that's a sports bike, a motorcycle Grand Prix, and this isn't always true in all situations and for all bikes. But before I explain that, if we're touching on the concept of safety, you need to consider Resurgence Gear motorcycle clothing. Check this out.
Holy crap!
Talk about faith in your own safety gear. You can't get any better than that. And that's why I wear it all the time. Even in summer when it's stinking hot, they've got single layer, AAA rated jeans. I'm always wearing them. And don't forget the 10% discount. Use the code OldNotDead. Now speaking of Old Not Dead, our supporter gear, our merchandise, that which keeps the channel going, it's not going to save you in a slide, but gee, you're going to look cool wearing it. T-shirts, singlets, caps, stickers, patches, hoodies, beanies, T-shirts like this one with a bit of embroidery, or big Larry logos. Choose what you like, support the channel and reaffirm that you've still got it. I forgot to mention, check out the exchange rate. If you're in the United States or in Europe, the Australian dollar has absolutely been decimated. So you're getting the merchandise and postage for bargain prices. Now for those of us who ride Harley Davidsons or cruisers in general, the bikes weigh a ton and the weight is not all stacked to the front like on a sports bike. Balanced out more evenly across the bike. Our bikes are really heavy with a low centre of gravity. We're not braking super hard like a sports bike on the track coming up to a hairpin bend. Look at choppers, they're the extreme, all the weight's to the back of the bike, and they often only have a back brake. Now I know sometimes that's only for looks, but it's surprising how easy it was to stop when I was riding around on Blake's chopper. It had a back brake only. I'm not saying it's good, I'm saying it's doable because the weight's stacked to the back of the bike. So the weight distribution on a Harley or on a cruiser, it's more balanced between the front and the back. It's not to the rear like a chopper, it's not to the front like a sports bike. Balance. And we can conclude that on our big fat heavy Harleys, the rear brake's important. And for those of us who have late model Harley Davidson touring bikes, you'll find that if you hit the front brake, there is an automated system that activates the back brake as well. How lazy can you get? But I think it's good in a way, especially for those who never use the rear brake. Now on this older Softail, the brakes are absolutely shocking. That's how Harley Davidson brakes were in the 90s. It still stops fine, but I'm comparing that to a sports bike or to a modern Harley Davidson. Now you'd have to be absolutely crazy not to use the rear brake on one of these to help slow the bike down. And the rear brake's important in a lot of different situations. Say you want to tighten up a corner, you've gone into the corner too fast or too wide. Using the rear brake, gently of course, is going to tighten up your line. What about slow speed maneuvers like doing a U-turn? You can't really do slow speed maneuvers without using your rear brake. It's usually a combination of the clutch and rear brake. If you hit the front brake, I call that pretty dangerous because the bike has a tendency to want to fall when you're going slow and you stop the front. The rear brake's stabilising. I use it all the time when I'm splitting the traffic between cars. You sort of got to jiggle the bike a lot and dodge all the mirrors as you make your way to the front of the queue at the traffic lights. I use solely the rear brake. I find that it helps steady and stabilise the motorcycle, and it makes that slow speed manoeuvring much easier. It's also essential when you leave the bitumen, say you're in the gravel on the side of the road, you don't want to be using your front brake, it's going to make the bike slip. Use your rear brake. What about when it's raining? A lot more use of the rear brake makes your trip a lot safer. You want to apply firm, smooth pressure, you don't want to slam that brake. And that need to not slam the brake brings us to the problem at hand, and that is the rear brake pedal on most Harley Davidson motorcycles. It's crap. Now there are two issues. The first one is if you're tall like me, there's no room on the floorboards because the brake pedal is in the way. And on top of that, on a lot of Harleys, including this Softail, the angle of the brake pedal is incredibly steep. Now, especially with those two things combined, it means that I've got to take my foot entirely off the floorboard, get it around the brake pedal, lift it, and push down. If the pedal's in a better position and you're only using the front of your foot to push down, or you're rotating your foot a little bit to find the brake pedal, it's a lot easier to have control and to do things gently and safely. So for every Harley I've ever owned, and for every Harley I'm going to own, I always buy an extended rear brake lever. They're not very expensive, lots of companies make them. They're very easy to install yourself. It makes braking on your Harley much safer and makes riding your Harley more pleasurable. Absolutely stinking hot in the garage today. But the journey must continue. When I grow up to be a big YouTuber, I am going to get an air-conditioned garage for sure, with a kitchenette and more Harleys. Check this out. Here we have a floorboard. So what do we got? 31 centimeters. And as you can see, I only have 20 centimeters. So my foot actually sits up here. Well, my heel balances here and my foot is up here somewhere. That's very awkward. Now, if we look at this new brake lever, you can already see how much further out that's going to be, or how much more room on the floorboards. And as we can see here, I've got to the top of there, I've got 12 centimeters. So let's get into it and see what the difference is going to be. And before I forget, we'll put a bit of grease in here. That's probably too much. Beautiful, look at that, destroyed, but I've got a new one. And then that should get that out. Beautiful. Right, we can see the difference here. Gonna get another 6 centimeters. So what's that, 2.5 inches. All right, so pin goes in and the pin's got a hole. So, geez, look at the grease that's come up on that. Thought I put too much on. First time in 2 years, I've had to put the GoPro in the fridge. couldn't keep filming, it was too hot and it kept turning off.
Something's wrong, but you're moving on to the danger zone. Golden smiles and flickering lights, it's all chemical. And you can't get out for the rest of your life. You'll be stuck inside these walls. Apologize and get
So now I've got, where did I measure from? Oh yeah, so now I've got 9 extra centimetres. Probably see from there. Wait till I jump on the bike, then that's the real test. See how much room I've got on the street glide. You can see that's the end of the pedal, and that's the brake lever over here. Absolutely fantastic. Time for a test ride. Let's see if what I've done is going to be any good. I think it will be. See how much extra room I've got. It's so much easier. Before I had to come up and I was literally at that sort of an angle, whereas now it's very, very easy because I don't have to bring my foot right back here. Now as I ride around, I watch a lot of other people ride their Harleys. I see that a lot of Harley riders don't use their rear brake at all. I don't know why that would be. Maybe that's the way they were taught. Maybe because the front brake does so much of the work, they just can't be bothered using the back brake. I think if you haven't tried and practiced with the rear brake to complement the front brake, I think you're missing out on a lot. It's something that makes motorcycling so much safer. If you like today's video, check out this video and see what happens on one of the most dangerous rides in the world.